Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by Pilma. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And today we have the honor and pleasure of having Chad Celi with ChadGPT, not Chad, ChadGPT. And it's a pleasure to have you here. I appreciate you.
My pleasure. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. And we have a common friend, mentor, Jay Abraham, who I started, I guess, 20 years ago. Telling my age now, but very smart man, taught me a lot. Him and probably Dan Kennedy, the two most influential people in my life.
Yeah, great men, and I've learned a lot from both of them as well.
Yeah. So Chad works for PI lawyers, helps them get more cases, and kind of makes them think outside the box, which I like. So first of all, tell us, how did you get to where you're at? What do you do? What benefits do you give lawyers, different things like that? And then we'll get into more the weeds, okay?
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. Well, I've worked in over 119 different industries, from my marketing agency, which I sold a few years back, primarily based on what I learned from Jay Abraham. And it was a horrible business model, obviously, a lot of learning curves, but it taught me a lot. And I started working with different PI firms and attorneys, and I just love the space. And now I work exclusively with injury attorneys. And I just try to help fight boredom, doing fun and different things. And I see a lot of what I call marketing malpractice. Everyone knows medical malpractice, but I see a lot of marketing malpractice in the space. So hopefully we can hit on a few things today to help these injury lawyers. And hopefully I won't be too offensive to anyone, but I like to give them the no BS version.
Okay. Well, that's the deal. Most lawyers, PI lawyers, try to just copy other people. And that's sort of like, incest. Yeah. It just don't work.
Me Too marketing.
Yeah, let's get into specifics. So what are some of the big mistakes you see PI lawyers making?
Well, one, to lay the groundwork. And as you know, Dan Kennedy says, the number one reason why marketing fails is that people underestimate the difficulty of marketing. And especially in this space, I know it's different per state, but just to, again, give some context here. The average person is going to get into a car accident or have an accident once every 17 years. And even when they do, a majority of those people won't even seek the help of an attorney. So you're marketing to a fraction of a percent on any given day or week. Again, especially for people that are spending less than $100,000 per month. If there's this audience, I don't know, if you're listening and you're spending less than $100,000 per month, you don't have an unlimited budget, you need to make your marketing dollars work. They need to go out and they need to come back home and produce a result. So there's lots of different ways that injury lawyers have very expensive marketing because it doesn't get attention. It's not that effective. There's all types of holes in their sales and marketing funnels. So I guess we could talk about a few, but I want to also share a very big misunderstood concept specifically with injury law firms, which is this concept of differentiation. Right? If you line up people, yes, I want to be different. And I think today it's become a little bit of a misnomer, and it's not helping them, because what ends up happening is they're drinking the Kool-Aid, they get around the boardroom table and, hey, we care and we're going to fight for them and we're really client focused. These ideas that these are marketing claims that can't be substantiated. So from the consumer's perspective, and again, I'm not meant to be flippant here, but from the consumer's perspective, you're not different. Your business model is the same as the next guy. You're working off of contingency, you offer free consultations, and for the most part, just the realization that you're not different, you want to be able to look and sound better. You want to look and sound like the great choice right now to help them with their problem. So I think just having more of that focus and using what are called transient advantages rather than pretending that you're different because you say that you're client focused. That's
Yeah, but everybody says that. Everybody says
Exactly.
we're tough, we're aggressive, we
Yeah.
care. I always tell people, and I don't know where I got this from, but I got it from somebody. I didn't come up with it myself. But it's like you got to answer two questions. Number one, do I need a lawyer? And if I do need a lawyer, why should I choose you over all these other guys on TV,
Yeah.
billboards, social media? Why should I choose your firm? What do you think about that? I mean, that isn't that the ultimate question? I mean, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
Why do I want to choose you? What can you do for me? Can
you
you
know,
help me
and
solve
what
my
I get,
problem?
what I get all the time, and maybe you can help me on this. Well, we all do the same thing, and they're right. We all do the same thing. But it's like with me, my differentiator was something. I didn't say I was tough. I didn't say aggressive. I didn't say I get the most money. You know what I said? I said, if you're not completely satisfied the way we treat you in your case the first 30 days, you can come get your file, no fees, no cost. Okay. It was like a risk reversal.
Mm-hmm.
And it blew everybody's mind in my market because they said, well, you can't do this. You're guaranteeing. I said, I'm not guaranteeing results. I'm guaranteeing good client service. And if they don't get it, because I always felt like the big problem was they feel like they got to sign a contract and they don't really know. It's like me going to get surgery. I mean, I want to make the right choice, but
Yeah, no, I love that. You just have to lower, it's the concept of lowering risk. And so I'll give a few specific tactical examples, right, of how firms are losing business. Let's say a very common one is someone gets into an accident and a friend refers them to the law firm, right? It's a
right.
client referral, okay? Now, no one's going to remember your phone number. So what do? They go online, they search your name, and what's the first impression? What happens if you only have 7 reviews on your Google profile and everyone else has 150? Well, you could have just lost someone right there. So one area that's an easy tactical thing is if you have a bad or only a few reviews, you're probably losing cases right there, because when people are coming to you, even if they're referred, if they're not confident, like, oh, well, this guy probably doesn't do a lot of work. He only has 7 reviews and everyone else has 150. So again, you got to think about the psychology of when people are finding you. Then let's say it's a really good referral. So they're confident. I've really got to call, Chad or Steve or William Smith. So then they go to your website. Now, within the first 5 seconds, they're making a judgment about who you are and if you can really help them within the first 5 seconds. So an easy one is if your website looks like it was built in the 90s, you're losing more people. A big part of the impression is just based on the design, the cognitive fluency, the functionality. So another easy one is making sure that you are mobile friendly and there's a lot of click to call. People are not like writing down your phone number. They're going to your mobile website and they're looking for that easy click to call because that's easy for them.
Yeah.
So the design and the functionality is another area that they're losing people. Even on the form, there's a strong correlation that the more you ask for people to fill in on a form, the less people do it. So one thing you can do is stop asking for so much information on your form. Just ask them for their, full name or their name, and they can fill in their first and last name, their phone number. But, skip the zip code, the date of the accident, the type of the accident. If you ask for too much, the less people will fill out the form. And to your point, another way you can lower risk is around the form, you can remind them that you're performance-based, that it's a free conversation or consultation, and you can find out whether or not you have a case in as little as 7 minutes. Something to lower their anxiety and their risk of, oh, this sounds easy. I could just talk to them for 7 minutes or 5 minutes, rather than them thinking it's going to be an hour-long conversation or something very intimidating. So similar to your lowering risk.
I like that. I like that a lot. I think that's the big deal. I do that. If I get into something, I got to do all. I said, shit, it's too much.
Yeah.
It's just I'm too busy.
Yeah. Another thing that happens with websites, and there's something that's called the Flesch Kincaid tool, and people can find this online. It will measure basically the readability of what grade level are you talking to and writing to, right?
Oh yeah.
The Wall Street Journal writes to an 8th grade level. That's the Wall Street Journal, okay? You can copy and paste the text of your website into these tools, and most injury firm websites are talking to people as if they're graduates, they're MBAs or something. You need to tone down the language, because if people are confused, you lose, right?
Yeah.
You need the clarity and the focus, the easy messaging. You think the average person knows what contingency means? No, right? So, that's another subtle detail, just using simple language and having a lot of clarity and focus, making it easy for them to contact you, making it easy to sound like they can get a hold of you. And I know you've spent a lot of time on this topic, and I applaud your efforts in just helping people work on their firms. The response time, after hours, people today are so impatient. You don't answer the phone in 3 rings, they call someone else. They pick up their mobile phone, they can find another firm in 1 minute. It's very easy, right? You don't answer the phone at 6 o'clock, they call someone else. They're not leaving you a voicemail. You're missing cases. They fill out a form and you don't respond in 2 minutes, 5 minutes, you're losing cases, right? This is all the stuff that I know you talk about as well. But you've got to have the belief that if you're going to spend marketing dollars and you want them to be more affordable, then you need to have your process and your protocol and everything lined up to get as much out of that lead or marketing dollars as possible.
No, I want to say stuff. I did a lot of books, and I really believe in educational-based marketing. I think the more you tell, the more you sell. I would run it through. I didn't know about this, so I wrote this down, Fresh Kincaid, but I used a website called Hemingway, like Ernest Hemingway, @gpt.com, and I wrote the books on a 5th grade level. And if it was, and then it would help me rearrange it to make it more easier to read.
Perfect.
And I've seen some lawyers write these thick books. Mine were like 50 pages long top, made them short, easy to read. And I was trying to get authority, but I also was trying to educate. And actually what I was trying to do was scare them, to be honest with you, because there's different things, what they call it, the triggers. And I didn't want the greed and speed, which sells a lot, but I did not want those type of clients. I wanted the ones that wanted what was fair, what was just. They didn't want to get screwed, but they wanted what was fair, but they didn't want to die more, but they wanted to be treated fairly. So I went on that, and those people were easier to satisfy. That's what I found.
I like that. And I love authority marketing. So if you're a small firm right now competing with big advertisers, giant injury firms, many of which I've worked with, you have to seek out some kind of a transient advantage of something that you can highlight that builds confidence. So to your point, you get a great example is like having a book. You're an author, or you're a best-selling Amazon, author. So that's one. You can even, an easy one for some of these small firms, which typically they're great attorneys, right? I mean, they work really hard on cases. They have really big settlements. So they're great at, what they do. They can just highlight a record-breaking settlement, or highlight a case where the insurance company offered $10,000 and they got $120,000. It's trying to pick an advantage that they can stand on, or even highlight in quotation marks one of your best reviews, from a client.
Yeah.
But you want to try to avoid things that can be easily beaten by a competitor. So if you're in a very competitive market and you say, we've recovered $50 million, well, when everyone else is saying we've recovered 500 million or we recovered $1 billion, then you lose there. So just things to think about. Another common thing, because again, people judge a book by cover and making an impression in the first 5 seconds. A lot of times people just need a better photo. Simple as it may be, again, if it looks unprofessional, photos is something that people look at first when they go to a website. So having professional photos is another easy thing.
I got a question. I got a question for you on this, because I'm seeing, and I don't know the answer. That's why I'm asking you. I see some lawyers now that are on their websites, instead of having, back in my day, you had the tie, you had the coat, you had the jacket, you stood in front of the library books. But I'm seeing a lot more of them now are just regular collared shirts, even jeans, and they're sitting out there in their yard or sitting somewhere. What I'm saying is it's not as professional, but I'm thinking maybe there's a reason they're doing that. I hadn't really talked to anybody about it, but I did ask one lawyer. He said, well, this is the real me. He said, I want to be authentic, and this is the way I am. He said, I never put a suit on unless I'm going to trial. He says, when I'm in the office, I wear T-shirts, I wear, polos like this. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, and again, this may offend some people, but from the consumer's perspective, they don't care if you're authentic. They don't care. They don't care about you. They care about, can this person help me with my problem? So it's less about being authentic. It's more about having the confidence. But as far as the attire, I think the whole generation and the culture is moving to more casual. So it makes more sense that you wouldn't be wearing a tie and look so stuffy. So that I think works. Unbuttoned collars. I mean, I don't know if I do a t-shirt and jeans, but it's fine for you to look casual, but you have to look confident. And the website has to be professionally done and look great to build confidence. But as far as this authenticity and I care and I'm ethical and this is who I really am, people just really don't care about you. They just care, can you help me with my problem right now?
What's in it for me? Well,
Yes.
What's in it for me?
You know, another tool for a website is the me to you ratio.
Oh yeah.
A lot of times when people write, it's me and this and us and us and our firm and we've got our history. And again, you've got to rewrite that to be focused on them.
Yeah, I had a gentleman speak at one of our events, and he's Tom Truss. He wrote a book, The You Effect.
Yeah.
And his whole deal was you should never use I, we, us. It should always be you, them, because his whole deal was they don't give a shit about you. Yeah. They want to know what's in it for them, and you need all your marketing needs to be about them. What's keeping them up at night.
Another area, if you're open to talking about where they're losing clients, would be, I know we could spend all day talking about intake, but specifically the chase sequence. Yeah, would that be okay to offer some suggestions there?
I'd like to, because I just read a book on not intakes but follow up, and I've come up with some new ideas. And we just had our mastermind meetings last week in Asheville, North Carolina, and we were talking about that. So I'm real anxious to hear some tips.
Okay, great. Fortune favors the follow up. And when it comes to chase, you want to think about chess, not checkers. There's a lot of psychology that goes into these sequences, and there's a lot of money left on the table. Yeah. But what's happening, and what I've seen, Ken, in working with different firms, there's personal decisions rather than profit decisions. And what I mean by that is there's a very expensive assumption that is made at injury law firms, which is, if I send someone blank number of attempts, I'm annoying them. If I send someone blank number of contacts, I've already lost the case, right? We're assuming things, and it has nothing to do with profit. It's not a business decision, right? So think about this just from marketing math, okay? How much does it cost to send someone a text? Hardly anything, right? How much does it cost even to call them or leave a voicemail? Okay, a couple dollars, right? Yeah. Injury firms are spending hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands, to get the phone to ring and to generate a lead. But they're not thinking about the math of why wouldn't you spend $17 to follow up more or longer? Okay, so just a few quick tips, because I've seen the back end of many different sequences from many different firms, some firms that have over 20 different intake reps and others that just have one. The main thing is you want to have a lot more text and less calls and emails. Email especially, it's like hardly anyone is even seeing those. So you want to lean on text messaging a lot more than you do calls and emails. That's number one. Number two is you want to make it less robotic. If you send someone the same text message, "Hi, this is Chad from such and such firm. I'm reaching out to talk to you about your case." After 3 of those, it sounds like this is an automated message. So you need to make it conversational. You need to break it up. You need to have variation. You could even be educational, offering them tips. But I've noticed overall that the industry is very poor at one-way communication. It's like after they ghost us and they're not responding, we give up so easily. But a lot of cases can come out of the woodwork after 2 weeks. So right now, if you're listening and you stop following up after 5 days, after 10 days, this should be very good news, because there's a lot of cases you can pick up just from extending the length of your sequence to 30 days or even a year. Yeah. Right.
And the deal is your competitors are not doing it. So, that's what somebody asked in the mastermind last week. They said, well, how how long should we do? I said, until they tell you to go to hell.
Yeah.
Until they tell you to stop or unsubscribe, or they just say, I've hired another law firm. Because you don't know, they might just sit there and still be trying to work it out with the adjuster. And then about when they get released 6 months, then the adjuster makes them some stupid offer, and then they're saying, shit, well, everybody else has quit, but you're still sitting something. Exactly. Whether it's I think educational stuff, I'm actually going to work on that with some firms of creating like testimonials. And if they've got some problem, some issue that they're real worried about, have a sequence that goes into that and gives them tips and gives them information. The book I was reading says this: when they figure out that you're chasing them because you care and want to help them, then they'll respond. But if they think you're just trying to sign them up to get the money, they're going to be a lot less resistant. They're going to be more resistant. And that resonated with me. Actually, I didn't read the book. I listened to the book. I had a 5-hour drive to Asheville for my masterminds. And so I listened. That book was exactly 5 hours and 10 minutes. And my trip was 5 hours and 13 minutes. So I finished the book, and that was my big takeaway. It was like I said, he's right. I mean, the deal is, it goes in with what I say: the more you tell, the more you sell without selling. But so people out there, listen to Chad. I mean, I'm telling you, and don't give up too soon. I mean, that's because some people, they don't hire lawyers. They really want to wait and see what the insurance company's going to do. And when everybody else is stopped, you're not stopped, because they might have talked to 2 or 3 different lawyers, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll share one of what I call my ghost busting text messages, right? So if you're being ghosted by a prospect who you think has an injury for a case that you would like, you've sent them a few messages and they're not responding, right? This is very common. So to your point about that author saying you want to position yourself as someone who cares, this is a ghost busting text message they could use. So one of the writer downers, as I would say, you could say, have you decided to work with another law firm? If so, that's okay. We just want to make sure you're getting the help that you need.
Love
right?
it.
So you're trying to position yourself as someone who cares about them. Don't be scared to ask a question that they can answer. A lot of times people want to correct other people. Oh, no, I'm not working with someone else. I've just been busy. Oh, no, I'm waiting to talk to the insurance. Oh, no, I'm still in the hospital. I mean, you have no idea what's going on in their life. So just try different approaches, and I think you'll definitely pick up some.
That is great, man. That's a super tip. That is one that you should be writing down if you're listening to this or watching it. That is a great tip. I love that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, intake is not just the follow-up, but we had a speaker, and he did and I know 2 guys doing this. He sent out like to 500 law firms, filled out the form, and it said the same thing. I was on a bad accident on the freeway or whatever, and sent it to like 500 lawyers. 150 lawyers never answered. Another 100, 200 answered after an hour. And this book I was reading or listening to said 5 minutes tops, really 2 or 3. But listen, if you wait 30 minutes, 80% chance you're not going to get that client.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
You've got to be on top of it. You spent, like you said, you spent all this money, and then you throw it away on intake.
Yeah, I mean, another contextual idea is everyone has been Amazoned. Everyone has had an Amazon experience where they can get things delivered tomorrow. They go on Google and they get an answer in 30 seconds or less. So they're very impatient, and that's the culture we have right now. So yeah, if you think you're going to get back to them in the next day, they're gone. It's too easy for them to be lost to another competitor who responds right away. If you're okay with me being offensive today, another thing I see often in the space is there's like a lot of, like, let's say someone's doing billboards, right? That, they're doing their local SEO, like, oh, I want to become, known, and they start advertising. They typically put way too much information on a billboard. They want it to be like their life story. It's like they're vomiting information, especially today on like a billboard or ads. You need to reduce the clutter and focus on one clear message, idea, or brand. So that's one main point.
6 words or less.
Yes, exactly. Very, very focused and very clean, a lot of clarity, right? But another, I would say, somewhat controversial topic is this idea of phone numbers, right? I do like some vanity numbers because you're trying to make it easy for a consumer to remember you. So some of the vanity numbers I do like, but if you're an attorney listening to this and you're trying to promote some random telephone number, please save yourself some money. The money is going down the drain. Most people can't remember their best friend's phone number. They're not trying to remember your phone number, okay?
Yeah.
They can remember your brand, and I want you to trust Google in the same way that everyone else will trust Google. If they want to find you and they know your name or your brand, they go to Google and they will find you. They're not trying to memorize your phone number or drive by and write it down. Trust Google. Don't worry about having to promote my 514-1111, whatever the number is. Trust in Google and just focus on a brand and getting attention rather than promoting the contact information.
Yeah, I've seen some that work, and and what they're really doing, like all nines, or all sevens, or I've seen some lawyers do that very successfully. But what I'm seeing now, though, to be honest with you, is a lot of firms, and I think it might be smart, is they're going to little short URLs like we got one down in Charleston, Trade Helps, or Thumbs Up Guys, or or Call Ken. It's very short URLs, and they throw them on billboards, and they throw them on their website, and they throw them on their TV, and it's easy to remember. Like you said,
Yes.
Short try to remember phone numbers, but then and plus if we throw a little jingle with that, it makes it easier to remember.
You hit the nail on the head, Ken, making it easy to remember. And another thing that I see a lot of in the injury space, and I'm guilty of this because my last name is Celi. I've been spelling it my whole life, right? If you're an attorney listening to this and you've got a difficult name to pronounce, a difficult name to spell, just listen to Ken and what he's saying. Like, find an easy to remember domain, make it easy for the consumer rather than spelling the last name that's 20 characters, So thinking of the consumer, making it easy for them.
Yeah, and also I've done this because I got Hardison. People spell it H-A-R-T, H-A-R-D. When I go in and buy all these different, the search terms, the misspellings of my name, because it direct it to go to the website, because it is like Celi. Some people might say CH, some people might be CL. They might see CHELLI. You don't know. So that's a good tip too. Continue
now,
on.
Another
this
area maybe to touch on just very briefly that could be a time saver for some of the attorneys listening is social media. And again, not to be flippant here, but for most of the small firms that might be listening to this, just stop. And what I mean by that is there's so many other areas that you can use your marketing dollars effectively, even like focusing on your chase sequence, intake training, your website, and conversion copy, and lead generation and local SEO and getting more reviews. These are all high return on effort activities. Social media, don't worry about your 20-year anniversary on Facebook to 117 different people, half of which are probably your friends and family. Nobody cares. Unless you're going to do it effectively and be entertaining and engaging and educational, for most firms, they're not doing that. And it's like they're spread thin with their, I got to post on this. I'm going to post, we've got a new employee. Just save yourself some time and focus on the marketing and the sales that's going to generate money. That's what I would say for many of them.
Yeah, I agree, because I'll just be honest with you, I hate social media. I think if I was going to use social media, I had a law firm, I would just take all my past clients, make them an audience, and just try to stay in front of them, top of mind, aware, trying to use it like a newsletter or something.
Yeah.
Trying to get new clients, unless you got that gift of gab and have a TV face and not a radio face like me.
Yeah.
I would, I do it with Pilma, but we make the audience from, I got like 15,000 email.
Attorney audience. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just do that and we post stuff, but I really hate it. And I think most smaller firms just don't have the time and the bandwidth to do it. And they don't know what to do about it, because you don't want to just put ads up there. Now, I have seen some guys do pretty good on YouTube Shorts, but they've got to be very strategic in this stuff. And just throwing up shit up against the wall is not going to work. I can promise you. I think all marketing, you need to think about, first thing is, what am I trying to accomplish? Am I trying to just brand? Am I trying to stay top of mind? Am I trying to do direct response and get people to raise their hand to do what? To fill out this form, to download this ebook or whatever. I think lawyers and they get calls. I hear it all the time. They get so many calls from so many people. This is the next great deal. This is the silver bullet. And there is no silver bullet.
Yeah.
You got to do a bunch of little things, and you've hit on a lot today. The reviews, Google reviews is so important. You want to get on that maps if you can, because I got lawyers getting a lot of cases off the Google Maps.
Absolutely.
And they're consistent about getting reviews. I tell them, I say, look who's got the most, and you want to be number one in your market if you can, with doing it without doing it illegally, or frauding. But
maybe, Ken, in closing,
like
I could share one final kind of strategy especially for the smaller firms that don't have giant budgets or an unlimited budget. I call it pay it and profit. Okay. And this is a little counterintuitive, but it's really about focusing on in the market versus creative and branding. You got to focus the marketing dollars performance-based. This means local SEO, LSAs, getting on the map, right? Everything very performance-based and very local. But for some firms or some attorneys that, let's just say their marketing skills are less than excellent, right? And they've got a face for radio, as you've mentioned. Sometimes it's okay if they're really great lawyers and they can get great settlements. It's okay sometimes just to pay for leads. Just focus on intake and conversion and being a great lawyer and getting big settlements. Who cares if you pay an extra $500 for the lead if your settlement's, another $10,000 over what your competitor is? And I think Dan talks a lot about this as well, is it's a great competitive advantage if you can outspend your competitor on a per lead basis or per case basis. And what I've noticed is there's a lot of really great lawyers who can get big settlements, and maybe just the marketing thing is not for them. Just pay some different lead gen companies and focus on the business and the big cases. That's just an alternative way to think about it. But sometimes it's okay if some of your leads are a little expensive, as long as you can profit on the back end.
So what are the things that you do with law firms that you help them with? What, like the intake?
Alternative ideas for injury attorneys. So branding concepts, how to stand out and get attention. I help them, especially with their intake department, how to increase conversions from the leads they already have, website conversion. I've got, you may have heard of the gratitude books, things that can reach out to past clients, help them with referral protocols. Really, I don't do any traditional advertising. I'm not doing, television, radio, billboards. It's just about, helping with conversions and creative ways to convert more clients.
Briefly, we're running out of time, but I said we weren't going to talk about, let's talk about the gratitude books very, very briefly. Just tell me what's, some of them have heard it because we talked about it in masterminds, but tell me the concept, why it works. And is it not expensive?
So the concept in short is sending past clients and current clients a book with their name in the title of the book. So it's a physical book that's mailed to them, that's shrink wrapped. And the title of the book is The Book of Gratitude for Ken Hardison, Chad Celi, Jason Smith, Michael Woods. So every client would have a book with their name in the title, and it's based on the gratitude, right? So they open it up, it's a personalized letter to them, and inside the book, it's filled with quotes about gratitude. So why this works and it's so powerful is, number one, it's personalized. People love things that have their name on it. It's personalized to them. This is a lot more popular than sending them a mug with your logo on it. So they love that it's personalized to them and it's meaningful. Gratitude, showing appreciation for them. People have oftentimes never received something like this before in their whole life, even from friends or family. And then also it's unexpected, right? They may expect to get a t-shirt or a hat from you or stickers or magnets, but they're not expecting something like this. So it's been really great to increase referrals and the client satisfaction with the whole experience with the firm.
Yeah, and I think maybe sending it after 60, 90 days, because that's sometimes the point to where they start getting a little, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They get a little nervous, they're thinking about bolting. That might be a great time to send that too. How much do the books cost? I guess it depends on how many you buy, right?
Yeah, it's based on volume, but certainly it's, I would say, affordable swag, non-swag swag.
Yeah, good deal. So if people want to get up with you, how's the best way, Chad?
Really just, they can email me, Chad at ChadGPT.law. Is the easiest way to get a hold of me.
All right, good deal. Thank you so much for today. Very informative and a lot of little golden nuggets in this 30 minutes. I hope y'all enjoyed it. And until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.